Okay, folks, take a look at this. This is Waxwork Records' 20th anniversary vinyl of Hans Zimmer's score for The Ring. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Just the artwork alone is a masterpiece. The cursed VHS splatter vinyl, the gatefold with Gore Verbinski's linear notes. It feels like I'm holding a haunted artifact in my hands. And here's the thing. The Ring isn't just a scary movie. It's the scary movie.
I was 16 years old when I saw it. Me and my friend, Chris Ricketts, Pearlridge 16 in Hawaii. I swear I have never been so terrified walking out of a theater in my life. That movie rewired my idea of what horror could be. And a big part of that was the music. I didn't know it at the time, but Hans Zimmer, the guy who gave us Gladiator, The Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean, completely reinvented himself for this film. Instead of his usual grand, booming themes, the score is stripped down, cold, whispering, unsettling. It sounds like the movie feels cursed, fragile, and ready to break at any moment.
So that's what I want to dive into today. Why this score is so different from Zimmer's other work, how The Ring hit culture in 2002 like a supernatural freight train, and how all of it, Verbinski's direction, Zimmer's music, the post 9/11 mood, came together to create one of the most chilling horror films of its era.
When Gore Verbinski's The Ring was released in 2002, it was a strange, unsettling cultural phenomenon that reached deep into the anxieties of the early 21st century and stayed lodged in people's minds long after the credits rolled. Much of the film's impact can be attributed not only to Verbinski's direction and Naomi Watts' haunted performance, but also to its soundscape, a chilling departure for Hans Zimmer, a composer more commonly associated with bombastic blockbusters than whispered dread. Zimmer's score for The Ring is remarkable precisely because it feels so unlike his other work, reflecting the uneasy mood of the time while reinforcing the film's disturbing, dreamlike atmosphere.
So I am gonna open this up right now.
Hans Zimmer has long been celebrated for his grand, orchestral meets digital scores. By 2002, his signature style was already firmly established, pulsing electronic beats layered with swelling strings, heroic brass, and dramatic thematic statements. Films like The Lion King, Gladiator, and Pearl Harbor positioned him as Hollywood's go-to composer for emotional resonance and cinematic spectacle. Zimmer's sound was visceral, confident, and larger than life. Audiences knew what to expect when his name appeared in the credits. Epic motifs and musical architecture built to match the grandeur of the screen.
The Ring was not that.
Zimmer's score for The Ring strips away the epic and leans into minimalism. Instead of lush orchestration, the soundtrack thrives on dissonance, silence, and sounds that feel almost accidental. Long, sustained tones linger just on the edge of being musical. Sudden noises disrupt the flow, like jolts of static on an old VHS tape. The music resists providing comfort or resolution. Even when strings appear, they don't soar. They creak, groan, and scrape, as if the instruments themselves are haunted. This deliberate departure from his typical vocabulary mirrors the central terror of the film, a cursed videotape that distorts reality and imposes death on those who watch it. The music itself feels cursed, corrupted. Zimmer essentially inverted his own musical brand. Instead of bombast, we hear whispers. Instead of emotional catharsis, we get disquiet. His score infects the audience with the same dread the characters experience. To understand why The Ring became a sensation, one has to recall the cultural context of 2002. Just a year earlier, the September 11 attacks had dramatically altered the American psyche. Fear, uncertainty, and an omnipresent sense of doom permeated the culture.
Audiences weren't seeking reassurance from cinema. They were confronting their anxieties head-on, and horror became a conduit for that.
Technologically, 2002 was also a transitional year. The internet was still mysterious, not yet dominated by social media, and VHS tapes were on the way out, replaced by DVDs. The cursed videotape at the heart of The Ring tapped directly into this liminal space, old media on its deathbed, carrying with it the haunting sense of physical objects as vessels of hidden power. Watching a tape wasn't entertainment anymore. It became an act of risk. Moreover, American audiences had little exposure to Japanese horror before The Ring. Verbinski's remake of Hideo Nakata's Ringu introduced them to a new kind of horror, slow, atmospheric, and psychologically invasive, rather than relying on gore or slasher tropes. The film's success opened the door to a wave of J-horror remakes, The Grudge, Dark Water, Pulse, but The Ring remained singular in its impact because it arrived at precisely the right moment in American culture. Hans Zimmer's contribution to this phenomenon can't be understated. His unsettling sound design paralleled the uncertainty of the era. Post 9/11 America was uneasy, unable to locate the threat, yet constantly anticipating it. Zimmer's music embodied this sensation. Sounds emerged without warning, refused to resolve, and left audiences hanging in suspended fear.
Interestingly, this is also the moment when audiences expected Zimmer to deliver sweeping themes. Instead, he betrayed those expectations, just as The Ring betrayed the comforting formulas of American horror.
The music's absence of warmth mirrored the film's cold, desaturated visuals, where every shot seemed drained of life. Together, Verbinski's imagery and Zimmer's score built a world where technology carried death, and the supernatural felt inescapably modern.
2 decades later, The Ring remains a touchstone for horror.
And Zimmer's score stands as one of his most daring departures. It provided that even a composer known for operatic grandeur could recalibrate his tools to serve a quieter, more insidious type of terror. In doing so, Zimmer not only enhanced Verbinski's vision, but also captured a disquieting mood of a culture in flux. The film's success was not accidental. It was the product of a perfect storm, a society on edge, a new wave of horror aesthetics, and a score that abandoned safety for pure unease. Zimmer's music infected The Ring, spreading like Samara's curse, ensuring the fear lingered long after the final frame.
And Zimmer's score stands as one of his most daring departures. And that's why this soundtrack will always have a place on my spooky season wall of vinyl soundtracks. A vinyl resting place, if you will.